Good afternoon. Thank you for joining me again. Stephen Reed, Mayor of the City of Montgomery, Alabama. Thank you for taking time out of your schedule to tune in to our Facebook Live. We're going to hold off for 1 or 2 minutes so we can give some more people the opportunity to join us. But I am excited about today's Facebook Live. We have one of our city councilmen, a local leader, here in Councilman Oronde Mitchell, who is here to talk about an initiative that he will be bringing forth in his district, but one I think touches everyone in the city of Montgomery. And I'm proud to have him because not only is he a fraternity brother, he's also a friend, and he's someone that has been working in the community for a long time before he ever was elected. So glad of the work that he does and the passion that he brings to the council, and how he really has his eye and ear out for the people in his district. So we're glad to have Councilman Mitchell with us today, and we're going to touch on a couple of topics before we get there. And I will give maybe another minute or so before we get going. Well, let's go ahead and get started. I want to, first of all, thank Hyundai for supplying the city of Montgomery with 20,000 masks. I have them right here. You can see. This mask is very breathable, very light. I think it's something you could work out in. I may try it on my job tomorrow morning, but they issued 20,000 of these masks to us, and this is on top of the $100,000 commitment that Hyundai made to the city of Montgomery to help with COVID-19 testing, which was in conjunction with the 10,000 test kits they provided to Montgomery and to the state of Alabama at my request back in March. So Hyundai has been a able provider and partner with the city of Montgomery throughout this pandemic. And so we thank them for the work that they've done. We also want to let you know that there are other ways that you can be helpful. We have a Recover Together MGM fund, and that's www.recovertogethermgm.com, where we have been raising money to help our small businesses and to help our entrepreneurs impacted by this COVID-19 pandemic. And we have raised several $100,000, and most of that has been given out in the form of grants. And so we're excited about that. And we also want to let you know that there's a fund that was just announced by Governor Kay Ivey this week called the Revive Alabama Fund. And it is a grant program to reimburse businesses up to a combined $100 million for expenses due to the pandemic. And so those applications open on July the 16th at noon. And you should go to revenue.alabama.gov to check that out. And so we want to make sure that if you are in business or you know someone who owns their own business and they're looking for economic relief, that they know about these funds that not only we have here locally, but that are available at the state level. I'm also proud to say that here locally, a majority of our grants have gone to minority businesses. Often we know that minority small businesses have the least amount of cash on hand to deal with something such as this, a financial crisis. And so we're glad that we could play a small role to assist some of those businesses. I also want to let you know that we are continuing to work with other partners and other prospects who are interested in Montgomery. You know, one of the things that came out of, I guess, my appearances on national media was the amount of outreach we received from individuals, from organizations and corporations who care about the history of this city and the future as well. So we received everything from masks to face shields to contributions. And we received one just earlier this week of $15,000 because he had seen one of the segments where we were discussing some of the challenges that we were facing here in Montgomery. And so, there's been a lot of generosity that's come from all over this country. And I think it speaks to the fabric of not only Montgomery and the people here or the state, but it speaks to the fabric of people that live in our country. And so I'm just proud for many of those people who have reached out already with direct gifts and many others that we're working with to try to bring them on board to see how they can assist us in this community. In some non-COVID-19 news, I do want to share with you the great opportunity that we'll receive coming up with a reboot of a former popular show called The Wonder Years. It's going to be rebooted in the upcoming year, and one of our own, Saladin Patterson, will be the executive producer of that, and he's going to reboot that series from the perspective of a Black family that was living in Montgomery in 1968. So it should be a very interesting series and a great opportunity for our arts and culture scene, which we want to highlight here and has received a lot of coverage because of the Black Lives Matter mural that was painted around the fountain. And so this just gives another space for our creatives to show their talents. And I'm just proud that one of the homeboys, Saladin, who's done great work on other shows over the last few years, has used his influence in Hollywood to make Montgomery the backdrop of what was such a popular show back in the 90s, and now will be rebooted with our city serving as that backdrop right now. So props to Saladin for his work and what he has done, and always proud to see those who are from here do some tremendous work and try to highlight the hometown whenever they can. So we're excited about that. I also want to talk a little bit about some of the initiatives that have come up in the last week, and that is regarding the city council voting on the mask mandate. Nationally, we have seen this take off over the last few weeks because of the surge in COVID cases from Florida to Arizona to California. And we've seen cities act on these measures. And in this city, we implemented an executive order 3 weeks ago when the council deadlocked. But on Tuesday night, the council voted 7-1 in order of the mask mandate in basically all spaces that are public. And so I want to reiterate the fact that we know that masks will help slow the spread of COVID-19, but we want to continue to remain vigilant in this fight, in this battle, because we've had the schedule about how our schools plan to reopen released in the last couple of weeks. We know that we're going to have to adjust there, and we're probably going to have to adjust in other parts of our normal day-to-day life, such as our churches and even our athletic events, as we're seeing that impact college sports. So we know that we're still in this challenge, but I was proud that the city council did vote in the ordinance with a 7-1 vote to make this mask mandate part of our toolkit, if you will, to slow the spread. Now, the real work is going to be up to you. The real work is going to be up to us as individuals to look out not only for ourselves, but others, those essential workers, those frontline workers, those medical professionals who have done such great and courageous work. But we're also asking for partnership with our businesses. We're going to need our businesses to help us enforce this, no different than they would help enforce somebody walking into their business without a shirt. We really have to make sure that just as they will require someone to have a shirt to have service, that they have a mask to have service. And if we can do this, we can continue some of the positive momentum that we have seen in the last 3 weeks with the reduction of positive COVID cases, as well as the decrease in hospitalizations here in Montgomery. And so we want to continue to work in those areas to drive those numbers down. And so we can relieve our healthcare system, and we can also make sure that we are not spreading this virus in a communal nature. Because while we know some people may be impacted by it, we want to reduce that as much as we can because of the indirect impact it may have on someone else's health. So with that said, I want to conclude my opening comments, and I want to bring on our city councilman, Oronde Mitchell, who has been working very hard for his district, who is going to be, wants to invest in all of his district, but wants to start kind of neighborhood by neighborhood. And I think what I'd like to do is bring him on at this point so he can explain from our standpoint what he would like to do in order to try to build some pride back in our neighborhoods and help out some of the people who are in various neighborhoods who feel disconnected from opportunity that the city provides. Councilman Mitchell, thank you for joining me. You take it away.
Well, first of all, thank you for having me, Mayor. The city of Montgomery, I appreciate you for electing me as your city councilor, your representative. So what I did, I got with the mayor and we put my neighborhoods in tiers. We did tier 1, tier 2, and tier 3. Regency Park fell in that tier that I want to concentrate on. If you're from Montgomery back in the 80s, Regency Park was a up and coming, thriving community neighborhood. It was mostly of a blue collar, hardworking family. And, you know, my daughter parents are from there. Her grandparents still stay out there. So I had a vested interest. And what really sparked my interest, there was a young lady that was found in Regency Park near the community center that said, hey, something must be done to put somebody or leave somebody next to the community center where kids will walk, where kids can find it. I would say it's time for me to step up. So that's when I reached out to the mayor about a 15-day strategic plan. If you in sports, is like with basketball, we did a 15 days, we're doing a full court press. If you into football, we are doing a blitz. We are going to take on and look at everything that we need to look at for us changing Regency Park neighborhood by neighborhood, street by street.
Councilman, I want to thank you for this initiative, and I want to thank you for what you're doing here. Let me ask just a couple of questions, and I know we may have some questions that may come in from those that are viewing this. How do we do a better job with neighborhoods that feel left behind by bringing them into the mainstream of the progress of this city? What can we do a little better? And then what can we ask our neighbors in those communities to do as well themselves?
So first of all, I'm identifying those that does not have. I'm asking those neighborhoods to please develop and implement a neighborhood association. With that neighborhood association, we are able to get out a lot of information. Mayor, you have been part of my series of conference calls. I have a series of conference calls every bi-weekly that I have my neighborhood association presidents on the line with elected officials, public officials, and also department heads, so we can understand how the city operates. So a lot of things is just educating our people. And it's the neighborhood association presidents to go back and spread that word or carry that word so the neighborhood, the community can know what we're doing. So that's the first thing I want everybody to do, to get involved with their neighborhood association. We are trying to implement our neighborhood watch again. We also, in Regency Park, we have also hired a private security company just to kind of be our eyes and also to let people know what a neighborhood watch really looks like. You know, getting somebody not to pursue anybody, not to stop anybody, but just to ride around and take addresses of cars that's being abandoned, houses that's dilapidated, so we can know what's our starting point. So that's the biggest thing, just getting involved with your neighborhood association.
You know, Councilman, when we met this week with myself and Police Chief Ernest Finley Jr., you and my Chief of Staff, Chip Hill, we talked about ways to make sure that we're being proactive and we were communicating more with people in the neighborhood by maybe reaching out and sharing with them ways that they can improve pride in their neighborhood, ways they can improve the curb appeal of their homes, from, you know, cutting and trimming the grass to making sure that they're reporting dilapidated housing and absentee landlords. as well as even any people who may be problem renters, in particular those that may be receiving some type of aid or assistance. Can you elaborate on your thoughts of how we can be effective in doing that without being punitive towards those that are in those neighborhoods?
Well, first of all, Mayor, we have to educate them. So when we had our neighborhood association meeting today, conference call, my presidents elected to do a newsletter that stated some of those ordinances that people might not know. People might not know that you can't park on the grass, that your car cannot be on the street without a tag. So first of all, we're going to notify them and educate them. We're going to let them know what those ordinances are that really affect our communities. So once we let them know what those ordinances are, we educate them. Once we educate them, now they know. So we hope that if we educate them now, they will start doing better for us, really taking pride in the community.
And I think that's a great idea because, I think if we can educate people more on how local government really works, then we're going to have a better community. We're going to have a better city if people understand kind of what their role is as a neighbor, as a homeowner, even someone that may be a property owner that doesn't live specifically in that place. We want to make sure that, if you're a investor, that you're not an absentee landlord and one who is contributing to the neglect of any community just because you don't think it's as important as where you live. At the same time, we want people who are trying to get off on the right pathway to home ownership, not only to have the access to that, but to understand what it means to live in a home that's in a neighborhood and what they can do. Because what we have to keep in mind is that for over 95% or more people, their home is their most valuable asset. So when we talk about wealth building, we talk about economic disparities, it starts right there often with the homes that we own or those homes that we're trying to attain in the neighborhoods that they're in. And so from our side here at City Hall, we want to make sure we're working with you, we're working with your neighborhood presidents to really bring about information that helps people understand what it means to live in a home, what things they can do, what programs and what funds may be available, be that from financial institutions or other lending institutions, but also various organizations. We also talked about ways to maybe create some friendly competition among streets, in neighborhoods of who has the best street, the best yards, the best, curb appeal and things along those lines. And I'm committed to working with you on not only reaching out to corporate sponsors that we may have, whether that be a Lowe's or Home Depot or Tractor Supply, to maybe get them to donate tools that we can utilize to help clean up, vacant lots and abandoned properties, but also to bring in some of our great business partners here to provide some gift cards, to provide some things to some of these neighborhood associations where they can have a party, where maybe even the kids can join in by, having some free ice cream because we've got some ice cream trucks, some other food trucks that are coming in to these neighborhoods that may feel disconnected from some of these opportunities. And so I want to let you know, you're not in this partnership by yourself. I want to be there to support you and support those people in Regency Park this time around. It may be another neighborhood the next time around. And I think if we can really focus on investing in the people and investing in our neighborhoods, then that's how we take the city back block by block.
And also, I would like to say, Mayor, some situations, it's just simple to, if you see a person that's grass is growing up, a car is in the street, we got to be neighbors again. Go knock on the door because it might be a situation. And that's why I tell my neighborhood association president, you should be that liaison. You should be able to go knock on that door and say, ma'am, sir, is it anything that we can assist you with for us keeping your yard, for us helping you redo your house? So, we have to give a neighborly hand to our neighbors. And that's what's going to really, really help us. We have to get involved. We cannot no longer sit behind the door, peep out the peephole, or look out the blinds. It's time for us to come out the door. It's time for us to call who we need to call. And it's time for us to get involved. We can no longer let those bad elements do what they're doing and not say anything.
I agree. And that has such a ripple effect because again, when we're thinking about some of the issues that come before the city council and some of the businesses that come to the city council regarding business licenses, one of the most powerful weapons that the city council has is the power to give or take away someone's business license. And when we're thinking about our neighborhoods, one of the things we want to consider as we look at issues around economic equality and things along those lines is that we have to make sure that we just don't allow or set ourselves up for only certain type of businesses to come into some of the neighborhoods and more importantly, some of our more working class neighborhoods, because that brings down the home values. It brings it down no different than crime. And you and I have talked about crime in our neighborhoods and what we need from people who are charging us to bring about police reform. And we are doing that. We're having those discussions every day about how we can reform our policing in communities. But it also means that we have to reform our approach to humanity and reform our approach to our brother and sister in terms of how we deal with things and what issues we allow to go unchecked. If you want, you made some passionate comments at the council meeting. I'm not sure if people heard, but if you would maybe try to tap back into that. And I know they were off the cuff, but if you can just kind of share with the audience some of the things that you brought up at Tuesday's council meeting regarding crime in our neighborhoods and how it's impacting us as well.
And only thing I brought up, I want us to have the same passion. I know we have been talking about COVID-19. We had experts, we have had doctors to come in and tell us how many people has been on ventilators, how many people they're seeing. But I want that same passion when we need somebody to talk about how many gunshot victims they're seeing, how many domestic violence victims they're seeing. Because I don't want our numbers to go down because people are moving out of Montgomery. And we need to take the city back. And like I said, and you had a meeting with Chip Hill, the family, and we had a plan. And people may not see the backside of what we do because we don't televise, we don't talk about what we actually doing about crime because we don't want anybody to be prepared. So the things that we're doing, and like I said, I ran it through you. So, you know, we are doing cameras in Regency Park. We are doing off-duty police officers in Regency Park. We are also doing, is more important than anything, we're doing a soft opening for our community center. Now we have an opportunity at the element that they are seeing on a constant basis, put them in a positive environment that can be reinforced with more positive. So the thing about it, we are focusing on crime just as much as we're focusing on 19, just because it's not in the media, just because we are not, posting about it, we're fighting crime along with the chief every day.
Absolutely. I appreciate that. I appreciate again the approach, passion, and the production that you brought to the council. And I think that your constituents know that they're well represented. You're in touch with everything. You go out to the clubs. You're out everywhere. And you understand exactly what's going on in the city, and that is helpful because it helps me. It helps our administration. It helps our police and fire. It helps all of us, I think, operate and lead a better city. And so I want to thank you for that. And so with that, if we can take any questions at this time, be more than willing to open it up for myself or Councilman Mitchell. Okay, Councilman, I'm going to read this question from Sonia, and it says, "What will the blitz include, and who does this work? What will the blitz include, and who does this work?"
Mayor, you're breaking up. Say it again.
Okay, I'm sorry. Sonia sent in a question, said, "Hello, Councilman Mitchell. What will the blitz include, and who does this work?" You weren't able to hear me?
Let me see.
That's okay. She said,
okay, I see it now.
Okay.
So right now, we are in the beginning. So we will evaluate. And after these 15 days, I do have a meeting with the mayor and other department heads to see if the 15-day initiative, how successful it was. What did we stop? What did we prevent? So right now it's working because I'm getting phone calls from my constituents saying the police presence. I had a lady to call me that been out in Mark for 20 years. She said, Mr. Mitchell, this is the first time on the 4th of July that I was able to sleep. So yes, it's working. No, we're not finished. It is a work in progress because that's why it's called an action plan. So we're doing the action part first. We will regalvanize after our 15 days. We will get with the private security company, those off-duty police officers, the neighborhood association president, the mayor, and we will sit down and say, hey, this worked, this didn't work, and we'll go back at it. This is something that we're looking to do for just a short period of time. We're in it for the long haul. After our 15 days, we will go with a 30-day plan, but this won't be easy. And it won't be easy, work, and some will not work. We will see if we have to just do it. So, and that's what my constituents are saying. They want me to try rather than not do anything at all.
I agree. Thank you so much. Do we have any other questions? Okay. This comes from Sean, and I'll take this one. What is the plan to develop the city as a whole? Bringing businesses and opportunities would really help the city. Sean, I couldn't agree with you more. One of the things I want to share with you is our Envision 2040 plan that you can find on our website here for the city, montgomeryal.gov. It has the entire plan for the Envision 2040 plan. And what that plan is the city's strategic plan for how to develop neighborhoods, for zoning, how to address crime, how to bring about more walkability and sustainability in our city, how to address the infrastructure. Really anything and everything is in that 2040 plan of how we build this city and what the strategic plan should look like. And it's very important because this is the first time in 57 years that the city has done a strategic plan. I said 57. So most cities do a strategic plan every 5, 10 years max. But for whatever reason, Montgomery had not done that. And the prior administration started this plan and got it going. And many people around the community, not just elected officials, were able to participate. There were many charrettes or roundtable discussions that were had in the community about everything from our parks and recreation program to our arts and culture to, really how our streets are designed and really what we can do about older neighborhoods and that sort of thing. So the Envision 2040 plan is the guidebook for my administration, along with the transition report that we released a couple of weeks ago. That's what we're going to base our decisions on, because those are the decisions that came from many of the people in this community about where their priorities were. Now, to answer the second part of that question about how you recruit business, let me say this. It's important to not only recruit business, but to grow the existing businesses that we have here. And one of the things that we have to do is we have to make sure that we're improving our quality of place. And we're being very deliberate about taking those steps to improve the city as a whole. That's our education, our public education system. That's our public safety areas, our crime numbers. We also have to make sure that we're investing in the community from the standpoint that businesses want to grow here, and those businesses that aren't here really want to come here. And I'm talking about good businesses. I'm not talking about just leftover businesses that can't go anywhere else. We want to have first-class businesses for first-class people. So we have to invest in Montgomery in a first-class way. And I'm committed to doing that by making sure that we invest in all of the foundational tools that are needed to grow our economy, to grow our population, and to grow our economic production. If we can do that, and it's not always sexy, It's not always cute. It's not always popular. But if we can do that, then we begin to change the paradigm here in Montgomery, not just for businesses, but for people that live here overall. All right. How should we report a business that is not complying with the mask ordinance? Who is responsible for the enforcement? That's a very good question. To businesses that are not helping us on this initiative, you can call 311. That's not 911. It's a non-emergency call. That's 311 and report that business who's not complying with this ordinance. For an individual, there's a $25 fine first time. It can go up after that. For a business, there's a $250 fine for the first time. Now, after that, their business license can be suspended. They can be brought before a hearing of the city council to explain why they aren't complying. So we want people with facts, with evidence, only that, to call 311 if a business is not complying. And what we mean by that is you have to make sure you're adhering to the State Department of Public Health orders on everything from capacity in a business to who's allowed to do what inside that business. So all those things over and above the mask mandate are required under the current ordinance. And again, the full ordinance can be found at our website, montgomeryal.gov. And there's also a summary of that with frequently asked questions that you can pull up as well. So we want to make it simple and easy for people to understand so that no one has an excuse about why they aren't complying. And again, if we can work on this, then we can continue the trend of seeing our hospitalizations trend down by 20%, seeing our highest infection rate go from first to third over the last 3 weeks, and then seeing our new case count drop by over 40%. That's what we've seen in the last few weeks, and that's what we want to continue. Last question, let's see. This comes from Philip. How does the 2040 plan relate to the mayoral transition plan? Great question, Philip. The 2040 plan was instituted or initiated in the prior administration under Mayor Todd Strange. And I was a part of that, as well as many other people in the community who came out to those charrettes. The Mayor, City Council, Robert Smith, who's our Director of Planning, did a fantastic job leading that effort, along with a consulting firm that now has been contracted to do other cities in Alabama because of the work they did here. So we have that plan, which is very, very comprehensive, and takes into account everything from land use to future investments to areas of need as it relates to our ordinances, but also as it relates to our strategy going forward as a city. The transition plan was crafted by a number of people, even as many as 250 that came out to our town hall here at City Hall that we had for that, which really is a guidepost for my administration going forward. And the transition plan touches on a lot of similar issues that you'll find in the Envision 2040 plan. However, it gets probably more so into the mayor's priorities and the priorities of this administration. Things such as dealing with education, things such as dealing with crime prevention and investing in our Parks and Recreation department and our community centers. It also deals with other areas regarding public health. So the transition plan is probably more so a guide for my administration and how the community believes we should prioritize things, versus the Envision 2040 plan is a broader, much more comprehensive strategic plan for the entire city. And I hope that answers your question, and I really appreciate you checking things out. I want to bring back Councilman Mitchell to thank him again for his work and to see if he has any closing comments he'd like to offer at this time.
Well, Mayor, I just like to appreciate you giving me the opportunity, and I stress to my the city and my district, please get involved. There's some things that I'm trying to work on, but we cannot work on it alone. It's only 9 city council persons and there's only 1 mayor, but we have almost 200,000 people here in Montgomery. And we will not try to do this alone. Any issues that you have, please, even though if I'm not in your district, you can reach out to me. I can get in contact with your city council person. And my relationship with the city of Montgomery, if you see me everywhere, I want to be able to go back and represent and tell the mayor exactly what's going on in the city of Montgomery. And he's very open into, listening to, the city council, listening to the people of Montgomery. You can tell by how he listened about the mask, and I was so happy to be standing with the mayor on that executive order because it showed Montgomery that we are listening. It showed Montgomery that the mayor is ready to do what he needs to do to save this city. And I appreciate being a part of this city council, and some great things is about to come to the city of Montgomery. And Mayor, I just appreciate what you're doing for the city of Montgomery.
I appreciate that. Thanks so much for joining me. Thanks for your work. I look forward to partnering with you going forward. Thanks so much, Councilman. Well, listen, I want to thank Councilman Mitchell again for his leadership. It's a team effort. It takes all of us to try to really address some of the challenges that we have before us and to create new opportunities. And so Councilman Mitchell to Councilman Calhoun, who sponsored the ordinance for the mask mandate, to Councilman Graham and so many others, Councilman Pruitt, who decided to change his vote in a touching commentary regarding his family in a personal way. I think shows the level of collaboration we try to have here at the City Council, even with City Council President Jen Wright and others. We try to bounce ideas off one another, and we try to, have spirited debate about how we can not only be reactive, but be proactive on ways to move the city forward. We're at a unique opportunity in time right now, and there will be those that will take advantage of this in a positive way, and there will be those who will take advantage of it in a negative way. We want to be a city that rebounds from this by supporting our business community, by supporting those entrepreneurs and small business owners who are the backbone of our economy here, but also by supporting our citizens and those that are most vulnerable and making sure that their voices are heard here in City Hall by listening, taking their feedback and their advice about what issues they want to see us do. And so I'm excited about some of the things that we have on the table right now. And we are looking a lot better now than we were a few weeks ago. But we're still in the middle of a battle with COVID-19. And we know that it's going to be one that's going to be long. But I think with all of us working together and with all of us pulling in the same direction for the betterment of this city, for the betterment of our community, we're going to be in a better place. There may be some strains, there may be some pains here or there, but I think it'll all be worth it in the end. So I just want to thank everyone who's been a part of this and who has been working in your own space, with your own spheres of influence, with your own followers and those that you may be able to kind of nudge along or encourage to come along with you in doing some things that none of us thought we would have to do if you go back to the beginning of this year. This wasn't anyone's New Year's resolution, that's for sure. But we're here now, and we'll get through it together. Finally, before we conclude this Facebook Live, I want to share thoughts about the loss of Detective Tanisha Pusley, who we lost this week in a matter that was domestic violence related. And I wanted to share this to let you know that not only are our men and women in blue hurt by her loss, but many people in the community that she touched are hurt by it as well. And for a young public servant, for someone who has chosen to be a role model, has chosen that path to be a police officer, to be lost in that matter is certainly hurtful. It's one that is going to take some time for all of us to get over. And I want to share this with anyone that may feel like they're in a situation that they can't get out of, whether it be domestic violence related or not. Share that with someone. Share that with a family member, a friend, a colleague, so we can try to help and we can try to take aggressive help where that's concerned. We have to look at our laws right now, in my opinion, to maybe address those in a much stronger fashion for people who have gotten a protective order. We have to make sure that we do better to craft laws that protect the victims of domestic violence, and that we hold those who commit that accountable for their actions. And so I just want to make sure you know that we do have a 24-hour domestic violence crisis hotline, which is listed below, 1-800-650-6522. It's important that we all understand this is a challenge in our community. It's a challenge right now because people are under a lot of stress. People are dealing with unusual circumstances, but it's also a challenge because there are some who do not respect the humanity of others. And we have to help those who are in those situations. And we ask that those of you, regardless of your title or what zip code you live in or what neighborhood you live in, and if you have some challenges in this area, that you reach out and you do as Detective Pewsley did to try to get some help and to share that with your friends and with your family. And we have to ask our policymakers, those that create laws at the state and federal level, to craft some different laws and some tougher laws to protect those who are victims of domestic violence. And so as I share with her family, I share with you. She may be gone, but she is not forgotten. And with that, I thank you for joining us, and I wish you a very safe weekend. Thank you so much again.